Good evening. This is a meeting of the Mashpee Planning Board, Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. It is 7 o'clock. We are broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpee.ma.gov/channel-18. Call the meeting to order. I'd ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
First item on the agenda, approval of the minutes from our meeting on December 1st.
I didn't see anything that was out of place.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as written for December 1st.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we got public comment. First is Catherine Laurent. Oh, come on up.
Good evening.
Good
And I'm
evening.
not sure if this is an appropriate time for the public comment. Ashley and I are both here to talk about the stadium field renovation project that you will be discussing later on your agenda under committee reports. So I do have a statement about that project, but I don't know if you want that now or if you want to wait until the report.
Probably wait till the report. Unless we have enough time, then we only have,
We got 10 minutes before the public hearing, before the first public hearing.
you think you do it 10 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Great, thank you. So again, I'm here to speak on behalf of the application that I had submitted. I'm sorry, I'm Catherine Laurent from the Department of Public Works, and
Thank
with
you.
me is Ashley Lopes from the school department, the finance director for the school. And we are both here to ask for your support for the project that would renovate the field and track at the Mashpee Middle High School. And I'm not sure what information you have. I know Mary, as your representative on the CPC, has received some information, and
Just
I did.
the application.
Okay.
Gave them the application.
Okay.
With the 7 others.
So the total project cost at this point is 2.97 million. That is a lot of money, but I believe the question really before the town is the project needed and worthy of funding? And if yes, how can the town do so while minimizing the financial burden on taxpayers? The track has exceeded its usable life. It was built over 25 years ago when the school was built. Repair is not an option. Reconstruction is necessary if the town wants to maintain a track. The existing grass fields are overused and cannot support continued use at this level. Maintenance of the grass requires significant time, application of fertilizer and pesticide, overseeding, sodding, and watering. Even with these efforts, the fields are unplayable at times, particularly when rain events. Converting the stadium field to synthetic turf will allow more play on the field, especially because of the field lights. This will reduce play on the other grass fields, improving their condition and allowing a reduction in fertilization and irrigation. Fertilization and irrigation will be completely eliminated on the stadium field. The track and field renovation is being proposed as a single project because the time to replace the turf in the field would be before the track is reconstructed to avoid damage. The CPA funds requested are primarily for costs associated with replacement of the track. This is an eligible use of CPA funds, and there are sufficient funds available. Funding for the field is requested through the Capital Improvement Program. Utilizing existing CPA monies in conjunction with the funding through CIP as proposed would avoid imposing an additional tax burden on property owners. Finally, as pointed out earlier to me by the town planner, a goal of the town's conservation and recreation plan is to meet the needs of residents and visitors of varied ages and interests for passive and active recreation opportunities. This project, in particular the replacement of the track, will help meet this goal. All sectors of the town's population will benefit from the project and have expressed support, from students to seniors. And the importance of providing a variety of outdoor recreational opportunities, both active and passive, has become even more evident during the pandemic. Anything you want to add?
I don't have an additional statement, but I'm here for questions for the school.
I have a question. Did you ever think about selling some advertisement, maybe to get some money, like renaming the field? Like from, like, say, the Cape Cod Drive Bank or something that, you know, they do the professionals, they sell their name, or even sell advertisement you can put around the field. But they do get, you know, I mean, that could raise some money.
That's probably a question that would be a pay grade above either of us here. That's not something that the town has contemplated for any of our facilities. So I'm not really prepared to answer that.
I'm just trying to come up out of the box some way to make some money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ron.
I have a question. I use the field, and my wife does, for walking, usually on weekends, because it's inaccessible during the school day. Is there any way of fencing and gating to allow public access to it during a school day, or set time aside for public access?
Want to address that, Ashley?
So not at this time. During the school day, you will not be able to access the track to walk on it. You can access it before when it's laid out or after when it's laid out, but the way the project is presented right now, you will still have access to the school grounds outside of the track, so you'll not be able to walk it right now during the school day.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Jack.
And I think you may just answered that, but is the goal with the new track to continue to have that open gate so that on off hours, we can access it for the weekends and evenings to use the track?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be unchanged. And I don't know how much you want to get into it, but with the synthetic field, we actually would be able to allow outside use, which currently we do not permit except for someone just unofficially going on and throwing a ball around or kicking a ball around. But with the synthetic turf, we would allow outside groups, including the town's youth leagues, to use the fields.
Great.
I have a
That was Mary.
question.
Yep.
So, did you prepare the question and answers?
Yes.
Could you review your answer, your question and your answer regarding PFAS?
Sure. And does everyone have a copy? I did bring extras. Okay. So that was a question that has come up during our conversations with Gale Associates, who is the consultant that we are working with on the project. They have actually had that question come up with other projects they've completed. So they have reached out to the manufacturers, and the manufacturers have provided test results that do show that there is not PFAS in their particular product. And so we would have that as a condition of any bid that was issued, that the product used would not contain PFAS.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kept that on time.
Yeah,
Look at that.
great.
Okay, it is 7:10. I'm going to open the public meeting. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, the Mashpee Planning Board will open a Public hearing on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022 at 7:10 in the Coit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, first floor, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649, to consider the application made by Longfellow Design Build to construct a 12,500 square foot commercial building to be used for retail grocery sales on a 4-acre plus or minus parcel located at property addressed as 647 Falmouth Road, 9 Shellback Way, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. The address of 9 Shellback Way is in process to be abandoned. This application is made pursuant to sections 174-24C 1 and under section 174-25E 1 and 174-25E 2 of the Mashpee zoning bylaw. This proposal triggers a mandatory referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review as a development of regional impact, and thus no deliberations will occur at this meeting, nor will the board receive public comment until the Cape Cod Commission refers the project back to the planning board for local review. Because Joe Callahan is not here, I'm going to seat Rob Hanson for the public hearing.
This is the same application that was submitted and withdrawn earlier last year, for the retail grocery at the subject property. Again, this is a mandatory referral to this commission as a DRI, so I am requesting that the board move to continue the public hearing and refer the project to the Cape Cod Commission for that review, and open the public hearing again once the commission takes action on the petition.
Good.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Be good.
Okay, we got 10 minutes.
And we got 4 minutes before the next public hearing. Let's see. Anything on the new business?
Can I
Kevin,
just
that we
address the
can-
first item in new business?
Please.
So I did receive a request from a consultant working for Verizon Wireless to appear before the board tonight for a pre-application conference as was requested by zoning bylaw, to present to the board a proposal for a new wireless facility at 524 Great Neck Road North. It's proposed behind the existing Verizon landline building. But I received, after notifying you of that request and posting the agenda, correspondence from that same consultant working for Verizon that his request was premature, so he's not here this evening. And as it was in your packet and on the website, I didn't want to remove it, but I just wanted the board to know that there will be no pre-application conference tonight as requested by the representative to Verizon, but he has indicated an intent to approach the board at the appropriate time in the near future relative to the wireless facility.
Great, thank you. Endorse the Willow Circle definitive subdivision plan?
We can do that. The appeal period for this ended on the 3rd, so we are prepared to sign.
Good.
I have that here.
Yeah, let's do that while we get it there.
Do we have to make a motion, or are we already?
Plan was already approved, you just need to endorse
Okay.
it.
Do we all have to sign it?
Can't exactly remember who was here, who voted on it, but yes, it's a definitive, so I'll need a full signature.
Okay. I guess I'll get up too.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I'll get it.
Sorry.
All right. Oh, we said 7:20.
Yeah,
We got
let's
another,
say 7:20.
we got another 5 minutes. How about the Willow Circle special permit modification? Gonna keep you busy.
Appeal period ended also for the special permit modification, same date, on the 3rd. I did send y'all a draft mid-December, maybe right before Christmas.
I think it's in here, right?
I did,
Yeah,
I included
it
the
is.
draft. I wanted you to know that it was filed with the clerk to meet regulatory deadlines, but the decision is in there for your consideration.
They ever figure out what they're gonna do with that building?
I do know that the attorney for Willow Bend has contacted, he's reached out to me and obtained the appropriate contacts. I think there's going to be a conversation that has to occur with the town manager's office and the select board ultimately, because we need to figure out somewhere to put it. And also,
If
as
it's
was
feasible
suggested,
to move.
if there's a piece of property, we should also consider utilizing some of our affordable housing partners if they have available sites. But we need to find somewhere for it to go.
Yeah, it does need a lot of work, though.
Yeah,
I do
we need to
apply it.
find somewhere for it to go. So if it's feasible, it'll be done, and the ball is in motion, if you will, in that regard.
Okay.
But it's also memorialized again in the special permit decision, as it was in the 2010 decision as well.
Mhm. Everybody good?
So, yeah, why did we say there was a 10-foot landscape buffer?
Adjacent to, so the
Oh, is that on this
westerly portion,
plan?
it's right behind the Orchard Road properties, so the subdivision backs up right to their backyards.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a condition of the original approval, and then it was memorialized again in
Okay.
this decision for the benefit of the abutters.
Okay, great. Right, I'm fine with it.
If you guys could sign that, I would appreciate it.
Who has the
We're just
original?
gonna sign one of them?
I do, excuse me. Yep, I just need your signatures.
Do we have to, nothing needs to be notarized, right?
Nope.
You good, Dennis?
Yep.
All right.
That passes down right there.
Can you do an LCP update in 4 minutes?
Probably. I kind of want everyone's full attention. Do you mind if?
Yeah. Thank you.
Rob, were you seated on this decision?
I don't think we.
Your Honor, the LCP update is very brief. If you'd like me to go at it now, otherwise we can wait till after.
Please.
So I have had a few meetings since. There was less progress since our last meeting that I had hoped because I had called for jury duty and I was seated on the jury. So we missed our mid-December biweekly update, but I did have a meeting this past week with our consultants and the Cape Cod Commission to kind of go over the general framework that we have been considering for community engagement. And I think they were very, very pleased with our general approach, which we will be going over with the full board at our next meeting. I think it's looking like we are going virtual again with our meetings after this week. So I was hoping to really be in person with our consultants because I do think there's something lost in translation.
Yeah.
But that's kind of out of my power to control. All I can state to you all is that we'll take the best of that conversation, and there's a lot to update you on. We'll hope to have the website decided and kind of in process of being launched. Further, our consultants should be prepared to present to you a schedule of events as they unfold. I think we'll need to have some more targeted conversations with, we had always been planning on a hybrid model of engagement. And I just want to have Plan B and Plan C in place in the event things go back to the way they were 2 years ago. And I'm really hopeful. I think the variables have changed, and I think we've learned how to do things safely in this new environment. So no decisions in that regard yet, but I do want to be prepared. So there is more to come, as I've said in our past meetings. But the big agenda item, I think, for our next meeting will be having our consultants participate with you all and have them available for you to answer questions. And I'd like to present to you some of what we discussed with the commission in more detail, along with our consultants in 2 weeks. But I know the commission was satisfied with the approach. I'm very confident in our ability to do this well. I know that this is something people are excited to start digging into, and it kind of feels like a slow start, but we're really about to get going. So look forward to our next meeting after this, and we'll have far more detail than I have for you tonight. But I probably would have had a little bit more, but civic duty called.
Thank you. Any questions for Evan?
No.
Good. Okay, it is 7:20. We're going to open the public hearing. Lascotti Development Corporation, 413 Nathan Ellis Highway, map 72, parcel 56A. The applicant requests a special permit to construct a 4,000 square foot commercial building for retail paint sales. This application is made pursuant to sections 174-31N8, 174-25E1, 174-24C, 174-37, 174-82-1, 174-82-4, 174-41M, 174-31N14 of the Mashpee zoning bylaw. The property is located in the C2 zoning district and partially within the groundwater protection overlay district. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Corain. I've been called up from the miners this evening to represent my son, who is at home in quarantine together with his 3-year-old daughter. So I'm pleased to have this opportunity to be before the board once again, representing Lascotti Development, who is proposing to construct this commercial building on a lot at the corner of Ninigret and Nathan Ellis Highway. Casey Birch is with Solely Engineering with me this evening. Chad Brubaker from Lascotti Development is also with me here this evening. I'll try to be brief, but give the board a pretty clear indication of what's being proposed. This site, to say the least, has been the subject matter of a great deal of scrutiny over the years. Folks have looked at it for purposes of trying to come up with a development scheme, but very few have found it a lot that would be acceptable for commercial development. In fact, about a year or so ago, I represented a developer who was proposing to locate a dollar store or a Dollar Tree store on this site. It was about a 9,000 plus square foot building. It went before the Zoning Board of Appeals at that time, and the application was denied by the Board of Appeals. It is a difficult site, and I'll tell you basically why. The site is affected or impacted by 3 roads, 2 of which you can see, and 1 of which is a paper road. Nathan Ellis Highway, Ninigret, and then there's Wampanoag, which is a paper road, which is on the Andes Market side of this site. So as you can imagine, with all the setback criteria, 75 feet from 151, 30 feet from Ninigret and 30 feet from Wampanoag, it made it a great deal difficult to come up with a development scheme that would work. We have a client here and a proposal that I believe does come up with a project that meets the requirements of the bylaw and satisfies the development scheme that impacts this lot. Not only do we have the 3 roads, but we're also impacted by the fact that the Water Resource Overlay District line transects this lot. So it also limits the type of development that can be done on site. Over the years, I've talked to gasoline stations and things of that nature that we're looking to maybe locate on this site. But because of that overlay district, they couldn't quite develop a site with petroleum being dispensed at that location. So all of those factors, I suggest to the board, contributes to the difficulty in coming up with a development scheme that fits. And as I say, I believe this fits. This is a 51,000 square foot lot, which has been undeveloped for more than 10 years. Those of you that have been around like myself for a while may remember Cherry Stone's Restaurant, which was on that site, which burned down a number of years ago, and for one reason or another, it was never redeveloped. And as such, it has laid in this undeveloped state, overgrown with vegetation, not the most attractive site in the town at the present time. As I said, it's 51,000 square feet. The building that is being proposed here is 4,000 square feet. And it is within the jurisdiction of the planning board because a portion of the building is located within that overall groundwater protection district. So that's why we're here before the planning board as opposed to the zoning board of appeals, which in the last instance, the entire building was not, no portion of the building was in that zone. So we ended up before the zoning board of appeals. The various sections of the bylaw that we've referenced, and I have provided Evan, I think, earlier today with a written presentation, which I assume he's disseminated to the members of the board, setting forth this particular basis for the grant of relief under these various sections of the bylaw, the primary section being 174-24C, which is the basic special permitting criteria under the zoning bylaw. These other sections relate primarily to the design of the parking area and things of that nature, as well as construction within the overlay district. We've accommodated the 75 feet of frontage from both Ninigret 151 and frontage from Wampanoag. The proposed height of the building is consistent with the requirement of the bylaw. One of those bylaw sections that we've referred to there relates to lot coverage, and that bylaw does grant the planning board with the discretion to waive that lot coverage criteria if we've designed a system, a groundwater system that will take care of runoff so that all runoff is retained on the site. And I believe Ed Pesci, your consultant, did provide our engineering firm with a number of comments, which I believe we've addressed and hopefully addressed to Ed's satisfaction. The proposal has been reviewed by both the site plan review committee and the design review committee, and both of those committees have recommended approval of the project that you have here before you. As I said, the site contains 51,000 square feet. The building is 4,000 square feet. The parking requirement is 13 spaces. We've provided 13. The bylaw also has that provision that requires or calls for parking to be beside and behind a building. One of the sections of the bylaw that we're seeking relief from under the planning board's special permit authority is to allow some of that parking to be in front of the building as well as beside the building. And we have suggested that, and I believe our engineer has proposed that, because otherwise you would have parking on both sides of a travel lane in order to get to the front door of the building. People would be crossing the travel lane within the parking area, and overall, I think this provides for a safer means of access and egress to the front door, which will front on Route 151, and works for the traffic flow aspects of the site. In addition, this site backs up to residential property. So one of the things that we're able to accomplish by locating the parking where we're locating it, as opposed to putting behind the building, is that we're able to keep traffic and vehicle traffic and parking away from that residential zone. So that's one of the reasons why we have proposed it for the front of the building as well as the side of the building. Again, the board has the authority to grant reliefs from certain requirements, such as planting of trees within the parking area. Given the constraints of the site, planting of trees within the parking area, we believe, is not serving any real useful purpose. And to plant trees along 151 and Integrat also creates some concern because you're at a corner. There's a lot of traffic that goes in and out of Ninigret. You don't want to impact your sightline distances and things of that nature. So I believe we've proposed a a development scheme that will address any concerns of safety, which is one of the concerns that is raised under 24C of the zoning bylaw. That special permit bylaw basically protects interest relative to health and safety, and we believe that what we've proposed here is such that we have addressed any health and safety concerns. There are a number of items that are set forth in that bylaw that really don't have any application to this particular site. There are no wetlands on the site. There are no significant noise or vibration that would be created by this use. This is a relatively passive use, much more passive than the use that had been proposed before, and we believe that it will be an asset to the town, both in terms of tax generation and having a viable business on a site which has been unproductive for at least 10 or more years. As I said, Chad Brubaker from the developer is here with me, as is Casey Birch from the engineering firm. I think I'd just assume let the board ask any questions that they may have. I believe we've given you a pretty good idea of what the project is all about. It is intended to be occupied by one tenant, Sherwin-Williams, which is a contracting tenant in the paint business. One of the things that was raised by design review was to determine whether or not there was any recycling of paint. We have confirmed that there is no recycling of paint at all on this site. So everything will be contained in containers. There are no drains or anything else that are proposed for the building. So we've really eliminated the possibility of any leaking of any kind of hazardous materials or whatever, or paint or thinners or anything of that nature into the groundwater supply, paying particular attention to making sure that we weren't running afoul of anything relative to the Water Resource Protection District. So with that, I'll try to respond to any questions, or those who are with me this evening will try to respond to any questions that the board has.
John, a quick point of order. Just similar to the previous application, we have four members of the board present today, along with our associate. We can proceed with four. As you know, we need 4 out of 5 members for a special permit, or the chair, at his discretion, can seat the associate. If you'd like to proceed with this at this time, if the applicant would desire to do so.
Yeah.
Yes, we would prefer to have the associate member sit, because frankly, if it were 4 members, over all these years, I've always made it a practice never to proceed with 4 members when I need a supermajority of 4 out of 5. So if the chair is inclined to have the associate member sit, that would be fine with us.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll seat Rob for this. Thank you, Evan. Questions? Go ahead, Dennis.
On the parking spaces, are any handicap?
There is a handicap space. One of the 13 is handicapped to address the statutory requirements.
And I think this is a good project. That site's been sitting there, and it's been really ugly. The foundation was there for years before they did something with it. So good luck with it. And I saw, when I came in, I looked at it out there, and it looks nice building. It really looks nice. For a paint store.
Yes, it is. We believe it's an attractive building, and the front of that building will face, as you see up on top there, faces 28, which is an attractive facade facing Route 151, 151.
And it dress up that area right there nice.
Absolutely. And it's consistent.
Yeah.
What we have proposed here is consistent with other development that has taken place in that area, both in terms of the setbacks from Route 151 and the other treatments that you see on the adjacent site across Ninigret where Dino's is, and Andy's Market on the other side.
A couple of questions, actually. The placard that you put up was upside down. It showed the lot size.
Oh, sorry.
And my question, I had a question on the diagram. On Wampanoag Avenue, it shows a bunch of lines. I can't read mine, but can you tell me what improvements this development will do to that unconstructed roadway?
It's going to be left the way it is. That Wampanoag is not going to be constructed. That is now, I believe that's now vegetation and treed. Those are going to be left the way they are. Okay. It's not going to be constructed.
So only the access to 151?
One access on 151. So that'll be, because Wampanoag is there, it made sense to locate the access there because the road already exists. And I believe a portion of that area is used by Andy's Market as well to access their site.
Just to add clarification on that, the access point off of 151 will not change. It will remain the same. It will be a shared access point with Andy's Market.
Okay.
You have a question?
And this has to do with the actual contents of the building. Most paints today are now water-based paints and less volatile. Can you tell me what percentage would be more volatile, non-water-based? This is primarily for a fire question.
I will say that I did have discussions with the fire chief in regards to this. The quantities that are in this building do not exceed anything, and we have no concerns with the quantities or the storage types. They've already got a good plan in place. They presented that to the Plan Review Committee, and I was satisfied with that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Is the, on that other diagram, the west side of the building, is that where the loading is going to be? So the left side of the building, the west side? Is that the
Yes.
bottom one? So there's nothing in the back at all? There
No,
won't be any
that's the
back.
side that's facing Andy's Market.
Okay, and the question that come up was the turning radius for the ladder truck getting in. I know we always like to talk about fire trucks, right, Dennis? When it's pulling in, that berm that's shown as you pull into that driveway, is that a drive-over berm?
This is a stripe painting. There's no curve.
So we'll be able to go over that?
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
be able to go over
then I have no issues whatsoever. Everything else I've already reviewed with the chief and through this plan, and I'm satisfied with the project.
That was an issue that was brought up at site plan review, because originally we were proposing a different type of curbing, but it was recommended by the DPW director that we have Cape Cod berm providing access at that location, so not to create any issues.
Good. Mary?
Yes. Hi. Happy New Year, Kevin. It seems like you have some vegetated swales on site. Can you go over that a little bit?
Oh, yes, let me, so we do have an emergency spillway to our infiltration basin. Our basin is designed to have no water leave it. We actually have a foot of freeboard in the 100-year storm event. So we don't expect any water to go over that. It would have to be some catastrophic over 500-year storm event. But yes, if that did happen, there is a gradual swale that goes to a catch basin in the road, the only existing basin in that area. But our design has proven that it will never reach that point.
Okay. All right. And would you accept as a condition to maintain the landscaping that you're proposing now?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And lastly, you talked about the prevention of any paint leaving the building. Is that shown on any plan?
Well, I think it was addressed by the questions that were raised by the chief and by the Board of Health at plan review. They were concerned that there were no drains in the building, so that everything is not susceptible of draining into the ground, like some of the other industrial uses that exist in the industrial park. Typically, the Board of Health has required drains into a tight tank and things of that nature. We don't have anything like that in this particular instance, so everything would be retained within the building. No drainage within the building that would allow it to go into the groundwater.
So would you accept a condition that the building is going to be engineered to prevent any spillage of paint from the building?
I would think that.
Yeah, just to clarify the question that came up yesterday during a plan or design review, the question was raised was there any paint recycling done on site? If so, they just asked that it be containerized, so I followed up with Sherwin-Williams today to get their policy, and so currently in the state of Massachusetts, there's no paint recycling program. It doesn't mean that down the line they couldn't institute a recycling program, but when they do, all the paint comes in and goes into a lined tote that is then taken off-site for recycling. So the question that came up was there's no floor drains in the building that would, they're not going to be dumping paint down drains to run off-site. So, I think we'd be open to a condition like that. I don't know from an engineering standpoint how you prove that or.
Well, maybe our board engineer can help with some language for that, for the final decision. But if we could have a condition that stating that the building is going to be constructed and engineered in a way that would prevent any paint spillage, just because it's partially in the groundwater protection district.
Well, I would suggest that if we're going to use the word, we don't say prevent paint spillage, I would say prevent paint from leaching into the
Yep.
ground.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
because there's always the possibility
Yep.
that somebody's going to knock over a can of paint
That's right.
when it's being mixed or something of that
Yeah.
nature. So there's always the possibility of spillage, we just want to make sure it doesn't get into the ground.
Right.
And specifically, there's no floor drains as part of the building design.
Yep, that's great. And I think the letter dated November 12th, 2021, is where you're bringing us through all the different waivers.
Yeah, those, I think, were things that Ed Pesci had raised in his correspondence, so we respond.
This was the letter from Solely Engineering prior to
Oh,
the
okay.
board engineer
Right.
letter. So I don't know, Casey has a copy of that. I don't know if you want us to walk through those or if you have.
I'd love to walk, before we vote on each waiver, I'd like to walk through them. I don't know which document you want us to look at.
The November 12th is, yeah. that would be
Okay.
fine.
Yep.
Can you
And I
guys just
believe-
make sure you speak into the microphones?
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
And I believe Kevin went over a lot of this in his intro. Yeah, so let's go through the first one, Article 7, land space requirement. In reference to us, we are requesting to avoid the 50-foot, I'll just read the whole thing. No building may be located within 75 feet of Route 151 or 28, which we are satisfying. Great Neck Road south and north of Route 130 west of access driveways involving entrances of a path of no more than 40 feet in width. And land within 50 feet of said roads shall be left as wooded buffer areas in its natural state, except that said area may be reduced by the planning board as part of its decision on the special permit approved under Section 174-45, Section 174-45.1, or 174-46. Where such area is not naturally wooded, it shall be suitably planted within sufficient trees and understory vegetation of any type common in natural areas of Mashpee to replicate a natural wooded area and to constitute a visual barrier between the proposed development and the roadway. So what our plan is showing, right now, currently, the existing pavement and curb, is it within the right-of-way? And it's providing no natural buffer except maybe, I believe that's 15 feet. And again, within the right-of-way. We're expanding it to about 42 feet. Again, it's not the 50-foot from the street line, but due to the constraints of the building and the buffers and the 75-foot and the rear buffer to the residential zoning district, this is kind of where we're set at. And so we're asking for a waiver to reduce it from 50 to 42.
42, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that makes sense.
Article 8, parking facilities, location and facility. This is the requirement that you want the parking in the front of the building and on the sides. I mean, the rear of the building and on the sides. Kevin earlier spoke to this. Putting the parking in the rear up against the residential is not ideal.
Right.
And we have the added for safety that everybody would have to travel around the building to get to the main entrance, because this is the prototypical shell for this type of store with the entrance in the front. It's also good to know that the ADA space is directly in front of the building, next to the main entrance as well. And putting it in the rear would have that disadvantage for that.
And it's consistent with the other commercial properties there.
Correct.
So that waiver is to allow for the parking in the front.
Correct.
And you said six spaces in the front?
Yes,
Six
and
in
one
the
of them
front.
is the ADA, includes the ADA accessible space.
Can you go through the?
Okay,
next-
number 3?
Yeah, thank you.
This is also the same article, parking facility, section 174-41, .m, parking lot design. For projects involving more than 10 parking spaces, any parking area shall have a minimum ratio of 1 to 5 of landscape or natural area to be paved area unless the permitting authority determines that due to the shape of the configuration of the parking area, such landscaping would be impractical. Natural vegetation shall retain any such landscaping area in the greatest extent possible. So this is an L-shaped parking lot. To provide any more internal landscaping into that, it's just not feasible. There's no room to put a spine with additional landscaping on either side. And it was just it would increase the impervious area to unnecessary measures. So due to the configuration, we were hoping to get a waiver for that
Okay.
ratio.
I would also point out that at plan review, it was requested that we beef up some of the landscaping along Ninigret, and we've agreed to do that.
Is that shown on this plan?
No, we only had site plan review yesterday.
Yeah.
So it was impossible to get all that information now, but if you want to make it consistent, a condition that's consistent with the recommendation of plan review relative to beefing up the landscaping, low-story landscaping, and potentially a couple of trees along that side, that's certainly something that we've already indicated we were agreeable to doing.
Yeah. I mean, keeping in mind, to your point, Kevin, that it's a corner and you don't want to
Yes, we don't want
impede
to
visibility.
create a problem at the intersection.
Right.
So everything would be low-story.
Yep.
And probably set back off 151.
Okay, last one?
The Groundwater Protection District, special permit use, section 174-82, 4. The rendering impervious of greater than 15% or 2,500 square feet of any lot, whichever is greater, provided that a system of stormwater management and artificial recharge of precipitation is developed, which is designed to prevent untreated discharges to wetlands and surface water, preserve hydrologic conditions that closely resemble pre-development conditions, reduce or prevent flooding by managing the peak discharges and volumes of runoff, minimize erosion and sediment control, not result in significant degradation of groundwater, reduce suspended solids and other pollutants to improve water quality, and provide increase of protection of sensitive natural resources. So currently, our impervious area is about 40.4%, but we are providing two things. Our stormwater management system has 2 catch basins that collect the site that have 4-foot sumps and hooded outlets. And then it travels to a water quality unit, which will clean the water even further with, by capturing all floatables, 100% all floatables, and 80% of the annual total suspended solids. It was designed for actually more than 80, but the requirement for the state is 80, and yeah, the state. And then it goes into an infiltration basin. So one of the requirements is peak runoff being less than existing. If we didn't have this detention basin, our site would already be less in all situations because we're 8,000 square feet less of impervious than the existing condition is now. We are including the detention basin. It is a DPW requirement within this zone, and we are collecting and infiltrating 100% of the water, so nothing leaves on site. So it's 0 across every storm event for that recharge condition. So
Good.
So I believe we definitely satisfy all the requirements stormwater-wise within this article, and just with that system alone.
Thank you.
I've got one more question. It's hard to read what I have in front. Can you briefly describe the lighting on site in the parking lots around the building, and what is visible from off the premises?
The line?
The lighting.
Lighting, oh, yeah, sure. So we have,
What plan number is that?
this is sheet 2.71.
Thank
Rob, do you want to look at a full-size set?
No, a verbal would be good.
So we have 2 light poles that we're proposing on the site now, and the rest are wall packs. They're all dark sky compliant. We have no spillage over the property lines. And we satisfy your regulations in that respect. The poles are about 22 feet high, which is less than what you guys require in your regs as well. But yeah, they're all dark sky compliant.
And there's just 2 poles, right?
These 2 poles, and then you have the wall lighting
Okay.
around the
And
building.
I noticed that you have, towards the rear of the building, your loading and, I guess, dumpsters
Yep.
area.
Correct, yes.
Would it be advantageous to include additional lighting in that area? Because there's going to be more activity than normal retail going on?
I mean, yeah, right now we have a light over the overhead light, overhead door, and that does project light towards the dumpster. It's low, but that dumpster is actually getting bigger, as another comment from the plan review committee. They want a receptacle bin as well. We only had one receptacle for waste, so this will be increasing to provide the 2 bins. So which will go deeper into the brighter light area, which, I mean, 0.2 candlelit, it's probably, you can't really see it out there, but it's not bright, but it definitely provides enough lighting for, and I don't know the operations, but I don't really see them coming late at night with.
Deliveries.
Yeah.
The latest they're open is 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Even earlier on weekends, so I mean, it would be rare that there'd be any activity back there, you know, at night.
And it's kind of nice that you're minimizing the light, because that's where it backs up to the residential
Correct.
Right.
area.
And that second dumpster is for recyclables. There was concern about recycling cardboard and things of that nature, so the design committee asked us to add a second dumpster to the site.
Is that going to change the site, the plans?
Yes,
It'll make the dumpster pad probably a little bit larger and increase the amount of fencing that we have to put around it, but that's basically it.
it stays within the hardscape though, because all we have to do is push it towards the building. So it's still the same amount of impervious area. We're not increasing that.
Are there any other changes to the plans based on site plan review? You have
The plantings,
the plantings and the receptacle.
The additional dumpster, that's it.
And the
That's-
Cape Cod berm.
and the Cape Cod.
And the Cape Cod berm, right.
And that is only up to the site drive, is that correct?
Is at the entrance, yeah.
At the entrance.
Correct.
Right.
Have you went to the sign review committee?
They appeared at a design review also yesterday.
Did they
They
accept that?
had no problems with the sign, they meet the requirements of the bylaw.
What about on the front, the building where the windows are? Are you gonna advertise there?
There's signage on the building, if you can see, if you pull that one
And that
down.
went through design review?
Yes,
I
it
mean,
did.
The wall sign for the facade of the structure was approved.
Yeah,
at
you can
design
see
review,
there's
yes.
one sign over the front door and also a sign on the Ninnegrit
Yeah.
roadside. Those comply with the requirements of the bylaw.
The signage was actually designed based on the requirements.
We had a lot of problems up in that area with the signs for years. I don't know if it's gonna settle there.
Generally, the window signage and stuff, yeah.
And it says nice crane downlighting.
Downlighting.
To the light
Okay.
of the sign.
Any other questions, Jack?
So,
Anything?
3 changes from site plan, nothing from design review.
I don't believe so. I think the landscape
Landscape
requirements might
might
have been
have
from
come up
design
during
review.
design, but,
I think, understanding that design and plan review were yesterday, I would prefer that the updated sheets be submitted to the board so they can be adequately referenced in the written decision. So before I provide a draft decision, I'd like to receive those sheets so they can be referenced appropriately before reviewing, scrutinizing, and approving any decision rendered on this petition.
I'd like to ask the engineer if he has any questions with this project.
Sure. Ed?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman. I'm simultaneously streaming you on channel 18 as well. So I'm watching it's about a 5-second delay, 5-6-second delay, but I'm able to at least watch what people are interacting in and what plans and things are looking at. Yes, exactly, Dennis. Anyway, so first of all, I think that the board has asked some really good questions. I did a thorough review, as has been mentioned. They have responded and satisfactorily addressed all my original comments with the latest round of changes. I note that there are a couple of minor changes that are still being processed now with the recent visits to site plan review and design review. Didn't sound like any of those were a problem at all. Those are certainly reasonable, the additional landscaping and what have you. I don't see an issue with that. I did hear one or a couple of you mention that we want to make sure that landscaping doesn't interfere with, say, site distance. I did look at the landscaping plan, does not. Supplementing along that area, alongside of Nedjegret, obviously should not provide any issues as long as that still is the case. I did send an email out this afternoon to Evan, just explaining, and to Sam Melafronte, that I had reviewed the revised plans and they had addressed all my previous comments, and I just wanted to make a note about one condition that I would recommend. I have kind of a policy, not a policy, but I guess a recommendation that I like to have for all stormwater O&M plans. That is to have the applicant or the owner or whoever it might be that would be operating it sign and date the O&M plan. So they have to sign the plan and understand that they have to maintain it and make sure that there's funds aside for it and so on. So what the applicant's engineer did was add a signature and date line on page 2 of their inspection and maintenance plan, which was submitted to the board. I just like to recommend a condition that be signed and resubmitted. Just that plan be signed and resubmitted to the board in a signed and dated fashion for the record as a condition of your pending approval should the board move in that direction. But at this point, I don't have any other comments, and I'm available for whatever questions members of the board may have.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ed.
John, just one more comment.
I have a question.
Following up just on Ed's comment on the O&M plan operation, stormwater operation and maintenance plan, I would recommend a condition also that the operation and maintenance plan be a requirement for all successors in the signs and future property owners, and be binding upon future property owners of the site.
Okay. Mary?
Ed, which document were you talking about? The long-term inspections and maintenance manual?
Correct.
Page 2.
Okay.
Go in. The latest one that was submitted, and I did email it to Evan.
Yeah.
Evan sent the package, the updated package from the 28th or 29th December to me, and I did get it. So it's in the current updated version of those plans. So it is effective. It is
Page 2.
corrected as I requested, and right on page 2 of the document, but numbered page 2.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
I'll note to the board, the applicant has been extraordinarily responsive on, in their, ability to respond to town comments. They appeared to the Board of Health for their septic plan, and there was a requirement of the Board of Health to include subsurface infiltration in the detention basin, and that was amended on the site plans that you have before you right now, so that wouldn't even need to be conditioned upon such an amendment as you've been submitted that revision already. So the applicant's been extraordinarily responsive to all town comments. I would just be eager to receive the updated sheets pursuant to the comments entered in.
Just one other note, but I'm looking at my notes from yesterday. So the other condition that the plan review committee put in was that no vehicles should be parked inside the building.
Yes.
Which isn't a plan change, but, obviously it's not an issue.
It's only a 6-foot wide door, right?
Right.
Yeah, but often when we have an overhang door and plan review that's large enough to fit a vehicle, we would request like a bollard or something be placed in front of that entrance to prevent such a, to parking a vehicle that would contain gasoline in it. Obviously, they'll have forklifts and, a pallet jack to move product around the site. I don't think an amendment to the site plan, maybe a notation could be added, but I don't think any substantive amendment to that plan would be required to satisfy that condition, given that the doorway is only 6 feet wide.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So we voting, or are we waiting?
I would prefer to wait to vote so we can receive the updated sheets, and in that time between now and our next meeting, I prepare a draft decision and provide it to the client, to the petitioner's attorney, and to the board for scrutiny, so that written decision adequately reflects the full revisions that were requested by plan review and the conversations this evening.
Can we vote on the waivers, though?
Yes,
Can we ask for public comment?
and you do need public comment.
Sure.
I will note also that in your packet, we received one written correspondence from an abutter. It was submitted to me just this afternoon.
Yeah, I saw it.
And the comments were essentially identical to what she had submitted to the Board of Appeals a number of years ago, just noting some of her concerns with traffic and things like that. I just wanted to make the board aware that we had received it this afternoon.
Thank you. Okay. I'll entertain a
Any
Can you call for
public comment. Hearing none. Seeing none.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
As suggested by Dennis, you can discuss and vote on those waivers today, which would be beneficial for me to put applicants prepare a written decision.
So, on these waivers, I'll pass them all, but do you want to do one at a time?
good question.
Since there's some specificity to some of the waivers, like, for example, reducing the landscape, the footnote 14 of the land space requirements from like 50 to 42, I mean, you could be specific with regard to those waivers, or you could simply
So, yeah, so
move to grant them as
I make a
requested.
motion that we grant waiver request number 1, reducing the 50-foot,
Buffer zone.
I think it's.
Wooded buffer area along
thank you.
151.
Yes, to 42-foot, to a 42-foot landscaped buffer.
We have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, so I move that we approve waiver request number 2 regarding parking, to allow 6 parking spaces, one being an ADA space in the front of the building towards Route 151.
We have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let me see if I get this one right. I move that we approve waiver request number 3 to allow an L-shaped parking lot, to allow the proposed parking lot design, which is an L-shaped parking lot, without any interior landscaping or natural area inside that said parking lot.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And you are going to cite the section of the bylaw that we're waiving, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Last one.
I'm going to let somebody else do that one.
I propose that we approve article, number
Request,
4,
waiver
which
request
is
number 4.
Article 13, groundwater protection, to allow the
Should you say,
20,500 square feet of impervious surfaces for 40.4% of the total lot, which is outside the town bylaw,
15%
right?
generally.
The 50%.
Second?
second that?
All
Thank
in
you,
favor?
sir.
That's more
Aye.
interesting.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
I didn't
All right.
write.
We gotta see them in 2 weeks, or?
As long as the applicant is available, can place them on the January 19th agenda. And in that time, I would provide you, Kevin, with a draft decision for your review. And in that time, I would request that the engineering firm provide updated sheets consistent with the motions made this evening.
That's acceptable.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much,
So
guys.
do we make a motion to
I'll continue the public hearing.
continue the public hearing?
Yeah,
Yes.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing to January 19th at 7:10.
Second?
Is there anything on this?
I'm just thinking
that the
that,
right date?
no, there's not at this time.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, I appreciate the board's consideration of my COVID situation. I share Attorney Corain's, situation. I think he did an adequate job tonight, actually, pitch hitting from the minors today, with the whole project. But, I really, all kidding aside, appreciate the consideration, understanding with the COVID exposure that I've had. No fun sitting at home and not doing anything, but that's what you gotta do.
The world we live in.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, guys.
I'll be in touch. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Evan, thank you.
Gotta save that.
Okay, committee reports. Where is, we gotta wait.
You just take a little break. I have nothing from the Cape Cod Commission except there is a article, newspaper article put into our packet from staff.
Yeah, I submitted that, actually.
Oh, from John. I guess that's my update from the Cape Cod Commission.
One thing to note, if I can, from the Cape Cod Commission, if I haven't forwarded this to you yet, I will do so first thing in the morning. The commission is holding a public hearing on the request for South Cape Village to extend their DRI. It's in, I believe, it's in next week. I'll forward that public hearing notice to the board. It's advertised in the Enterprise this past Friday, so you can see the public hearing notice there, but I wanted to make the board aware that the request was formally submitted.
Yep.
And that the public hearing will be opened in short order, I believe in the month of January.
Great, thank you. Okay, CPC.
So we're meeting tomorrow, the Community Preservation Committee is meeting tomorrow. We heard the applicants in December and didn't vote on anything. There was 8, so it started to get a little late. So it gave me an opportunity to get all the applications to you guys, so I'm just looking for any comments, in particular about the track.
Do you want to talk about any of those?
I think I'm comfortable with everything else, but I wanted to know, I mean, please give me comments, but I'm comfortable with everything else. I just wanted to know how you guys felt about the track, if you have any comments about that. If you're in general supportive of it or not.
I'm supportive of it.
Yeah, I'm supportive of it too. I had a lot of discussions about it, and given what the CPC funds are for, this meets the requirement of that. It also meets the open space requirements for the town and the public use and access. So I'm satisfied this plan meets that, and so I support it as well.
I do as well.
Okay.
Rob?
Anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, they're all eligible uses. You know, the one thing I asked for from the Housing Authority was the windows, is it Breezy Way? I haven't read the course. I asked them a question for documentation that the windows had failed.
That's what I was curious about as well. I think they're just doing it as a preventative in a way too, because I've been there often enough.
Yeah, so I want to see that they have a professional expert saying, yes, the roofs and the wood rot, it's easier to tell
Yeah.
versus windows, you know. I can't go and try to lift up the windows and, you know, see if they open or if they're leaking air or water. So I'm looking, that was the only technical question I had regarding eligibility.
Yeah, the only thing popped up was the question I had about across the street. I appreciate all the information you gave in this packet, so
Okay, good.
I'm all set with that.
All right. All right, so I'll go tomorrow with that.
We gonna say any more? No?
Unless you have additional questions for us.
No. I don't know.
Thank you.
And that was my report.
Very good. Design review.
Joe is not here, but the only, I guess I could speak for design review. They reviewed the Sherwin-Williams paint store. They reviewed the signage and the landscaping, and you heard from the applicant. The requested conditions that you were made aware of today relative to the landscaping along Ninigret and the signage. And we'll expect that those conditions be captured in the updated plans we've just requested from them. Just same with plan review. We only reviewed the Sherwin-Williams paint store, and we just discussed all of the recommendations that the plan review committee had made, and I'll ensure that the sheets submitted are consistent with those recommendations so that at your next meeting, you can
Thank
be
you.
prepared to take action.
Yeah, that's great. Good use of that site. Environmental oversight didn't meet. Historic District Commission,
No meeting.
Military Civilian Advisory Council.
No meeting.
Anything else?
No.
For the good of the order.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Not bad. Thank you, everyone.